warrior out there. And I look forward to how, another decade of him, on the Rangers blue line, the way we saw Girardi out there just laying it out on the line every night, bumps and bruises, not missing a game, and just being a pain in the opponent's side, getting them off their game because he's out there throwing big hits, and you can tell that he gets the opponents off their game, which is nice. So he's a B+ guy and a guy I'm real excited about going forward.
Good stuff. Jacob Trouba.
He's had a weird year because I probably expected a lot more from him, but I think he's been put in some tough situations where he was, lined up with Hayek, which wasn't easy. He did a lot of heavy lifting this year with Hayek, and he was, again, put with Smith here at the end of the year. That's not easy. I mean, he's definitely got to not only worry about his position, he's got to worry about making up for mistakes from his defensive partner. Unfortunately, him and Shea, I don't really feel as though they clicked. I mean, they were real good friends coming into the season, and you would have hoped that the two of them would have turned into a top line pairing. It just didn't happen for the two of them, and Trouba did look at times a bit underwhelming. And again, I don't know if that was more for usage or just him being in a new organization, a new game plan, a new defensive scheme. We pointed to Ruff a lot this year and his issues with what he was doing defensively. So it's tough to tell with Trouba. I'm going to give him probably a B- because I did expect a little bit more from him, but that's where I'm going to put him.
All right, it's a safe grade. It's nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's been a steady guy.
Am I wrong? Like, it just feels like he had just an uneven year, but I don't necessarily know if it was completely his fault.
Exactly. I think you called it right. And, that's a guy, like I said, he played a couple of long seasons there as a young guy with Winnipeg going deep into the playoffs. And he comes to a whole new situation here, and he's playing with a lot of inexperienced guys and a defensive core that's kind of building itself. They're all young, so it's all right. But I think, Jake Trouba here, I mean, he's here to stay, man. He's not going anywhere. He's going to get better, and they're going to our defensive core, I don't think, is not going to be an issue here going forward. And the main reason, I guess, is maybe, talking about Adam Fox here. Start with Adam and then and Tony D.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to give both of those young guys an A. Fox just coming out of nowhere. He was, I mean, at the end of the year, I mean, as far as his all-around game, I mean, he was the best defenseman on the team as a rookie. All-around best player. I mean, best defenseman, not just offensively. He offensively and defensively, you can count on him night in and night out. I mean, to make the plays out there, put up points, just phenomenal. Long Island guy, so Paulie, you and I could be proud of what he brought to the table, Strong Island. And, coming from Jericho, when I played for Massapequa ice hockey, we used to beat Jericho, so I could probably say that I was probably a better hockey player than Fox, but that's how that works, right?
Oh, man.
But again, similar to Lindgren, I look forward to seeing Fox on the blue line for the next decade or so. And what he has, I mean, look, you're looking at potentially, the best defensive play we've had since Leach. And that's just high praise, but he deserves it. And you hope that he continues to progress in his game because he wasn't perfect out there. But if he does, I mean, the Rangers have something special here. And as far as D'Angelo goes, again, another player, as I've said with almost half the guys that more than half that you've said, another guy who's taking his game to the next level. He was almost I don't want to say a throwaway in the step-on trade, but a guy you're like, oh, that's nice. But, we got the first-round pick was the big prize, and, he had the potential. But, look, obviously he didn't make it in Tampa, and then they traded him to Arizona, who then traded him to us. So, a young guy, he already had, it was already a third spot. And you wondered if he was going to live up to his potential. But he really seems to have thrived under Quinn. He's found a spot alongside of Stahl. And he's offensively, he had some nice chemistry with Panarin. I mean, Panarin had chemistry with everybody this year, but the two of them had some of the prettiest goals this season were the passes from either D'Angelo to Panarin or vice versa. I mean, just fantastic stuff this year. So, and the Rangers are going to have to make a decision with him, similar to Strome. How are you going to give him a long-term deal? How much are you willing to give him? And who knows what's going to happen right now with the cap, everything that's going on with the game. I saw maybe the league could potentially be giving teams buyouts, similar to what happened coming out of the lockout a couple of years ago, where the Rangers could potentially get some cap relief, which could help bring a guy like D'Angelo back and maybe get him a bigger contract than they initially were going to hand out. So that'll be interesting to see. But as far and look, he needs to work on his defensive game. But he's not out there to be a shutdown defenseman. He's out there for his offense. And if those are your expectations of him, I'm going to give him an A.
I agree with you, man. Tony D, 24, Foxy, 22. I don't want them going anywhere. I think they're both going to be just studs here. And then, if you have Trouba there, those you got three guys right there, and you got to fill out. Lindgren's probably going to stick around too. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I mean, you got four solid guys there, and then you got to round out your bottom two, and you go from there, or wherever they mix in. But I love them both, and I think they're just going to be superstars for this team and in this league. They're just getting started, man, and with progressing as an NHL player, you mature and you'll find the way, and I think they're just in a great spot. So hopefully they can just kind of keep it together and go from there. I'm going to hold off on Mark Stahl. We're going to save Mark for the end here with Hank, because unfortunately it might be the last time we talk about these two guys on this squad. So let's dip into the goaltending here, the three-headed monster all year long. My boy Georgie boy. We'll start with Georgiev, and I just love the kid. I don't know where you can say anything wrong about Georgiev or Shesty at this point, but you know how I feel about Georgie. Not that he's any better than Shesterkin. Obviously, he's just been around a little bit longer. Even in this, they're so young. But I mean, we're winners in this whole situation either way. So why don't you just run off your take here on Georgiev and Shesty at the same time here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously, I don't think anybody on this planet is as high as you are on Georgiev, but I'm definitely not as high on him.
He's a
as
safe
you
driver.
are.
I'll tell you this much: he's a safe
right.
driver.
That's right. I mean, I'm still going to give him a B+ on the season. I thought he had a really good season this year. Stepped in earlier in the year when Hank was going through some struggle. I mean, not that Hank had struggles. I don't want to say that, but he stepped in when the opportunities were there and he played well. The issues that I had was when Quinn was ready to hand him the starting position. It seemed as though he was ready to say, Georgiev, take us as far as you can get us. I felt as though when that happened, his game sort of faltered a bit. So if I had any criticism of him this year, and I do, I think he had a really great season.
Better watch yourself now. Whatever you're going to say, you just better watch yourself.
Look, he's a goalie. I really didn't expect much from in the organization. I didn't. I thought he'd be an AHL goaltender, maybe a backup, nothing more. But he's proven he could definitely be a starting goaltender in the NHL, absolutely, on a number of teams. Just not this team. Because of Shesterkin. I hate to say it, Paulie. I don't want to break your heart over there, but Shesterkin, to me, look, he deserves an A. I mean, you come up here, you only lose 2 games, and you're making 40+ saves almost every night. You're something special. He's proved it.
Were they quality saves, though? I mean, were they high quality shots?
They were. You know what, though? He makes the hard saves look easy, and that's what great goaltenders do. But again, he showed it in the KHL, showed it in the AHL, and now he's showing it in NHL. And
so look, B-? Is that what you said? What about C+?
C+. He deserves an A. Again, similar to Fox, D'Angelo, Lindgren, all the young guys that the Rangers have on the current roster and within the organization. He's just a guy who has just a bright future. Is going to be a huge part of this team going forward. And when they do, and I've been saying all year, when they do win a cup in a couple of years, he's going to be a huge part of that.
All right, man. Look
As
forward
long
to
as he
that.
doesn't get into more car accidents.
Let Georgie drive. All right.
That's right. He could be the chauffeur for Shosturkin going forward.
All right. So, look, here's what we'll do. We'll wind up this show. We've gone a little longer. For anybody out there hanging with us, we appreciate it. This is probably one of the longest shows we've done, but we won't do the coaching staff and upper management. Maybe we'll definitely save it for next week. So, obviously, Mark Stahl and the King. Unfortunately, we don't know if we're going to see them again. If anything, in a Rangers jersey. Let's put it that way. It's been an interesting season for both of these guys, as far as them winding down their careers with the Rangers. Obviously, not officially done yet. Hank, to me, this whole story this year has just been very weird to watch him on the bench. Understand with the two young kids, but it's been a long time. I don't know if there's been a time. I can't think back. I think of maybe Van Beesbrook and Richter back then, but, seeing somebody get, primarily just pushed out of a spot and then, somebody kind of, taking a spot away from somebody and just the tenure that Hank's put in here, the kind of guy he is, the class act, the fan favorite. Very weird to see him in this situation this year, and he handled it like just an incredible professional. So anybody who dogged him at all during the year, shame on you, man, because Hank is he's all world. He's just a first-class athlete, and we're lucky to have had him here. New York is lucky, too. This guy could have definitely jumped and run whenever he wanted to, but he's a Ranger through and through. And then Mark Stahl, obviously, Mark's just done his time. He dealt with the injury. He dealt with the benching. And another guy, too, another guy who just towed the line for all his faults, and he didn't play too bad here in the last couple of weeks. You got to give him that much credit. But his experience for these young guys that we were just talking about, the reason those guys are getting graded A's and everything like that is no doubt benefiting from a guy like Mark Stahl on the bench, in the locker room, all that experience. So he's just a good, solid guy. So, KD, there's my take on Mark and Hank, and incredibly grateful to have been able to watch them as Rangers here in New York. They've just been phenomenal, getting to the finals and everything else and giving it all they can. And like I said, unfortunately, we may not see them again in a Rangers jersey. So take it away, KD, as we wrap up this show. Your take on the King and your boy Stahl.
Yeah, as far as Stahl goes, I mean, you know where I was earlier in this year. I was calling for him to be bought out like mid-season, even though that's not possible to have happen. I thought he looked old. He didn't deserve to be in there, and he was holding up spots for some of the younger players. But lo and behold, after a couple of games in the press box, Hayek went down with an injury, and he got into sort of a new lease on life, and he turns it around. He's been real solid this year. He's been exactly what this team needed on the back end, just sort of stabilizing force back there. And we've been saying all year, the defense needed to be good this year because the offense was so good for this team to be competitive. Mediocre. And that's what he was. He went from being god-awful, if I'm being honest, to, solid, mediocre, solid, whatever you would average. And that's really all you needed from Mark Stahl. And him being out there with D'Angelo and being that sort of solid presence out there allows D'Angelo to do his thing. And look, I've said a couple of times that I would like to see him come back next year as a veteran guy because, we talked about Condre earlier, and they have Lundqvist in the organization, and who knows if he'll be fighting for a roster spot. If he is, you just don't know with these younger players. Not every defenseman is going to be like an Adam Fox. So you're going to need a Mark Stahl around, not only to help these guys as a veteran, on the team. And look, if he ends up spending most of the year in the press box, so be it. I still think that he's a great guy for them to learn from. And look, if those guys aren't ready, I think, I can't believe I'm saying this, I think I'd be comfortable with Stahl in there again. He's done enough over the last couple of months to prove to me that I'd be okay with another year from him back there. Does Gordon and JD agree with that? I don't know. I mean, are they going to need the cap space, to re-sign a Strowman, to re-sign a D'Angelo? So maybe they do look to buy him out. or does again the NHL